President Sirisena calls on His Holiness Pope Francis.
Basic salaries to be increased by 2,000 rupees. Interim solutions for emissions testing charges. Prime Minister responds to trade union demands.
Trade unions call off token strike.
Indictments filed against Basil Rajapaksa over dishonest misappropriation of public funds.
Do not make false statements that incite racism, a plea from the JVP in Parliament.
Gas pipeline linking Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan and India launched. Hello, good evening and welcome. This is Primetime News. Good evening, Jitendra.
Good evening, Nadeem, and let's take a look at tonight's top story. President Maithripala Sirisena, who is on an official visit to the Vatican, called on His Holiness Pope Francis.
The President and the First Lady, who left for Rome yesterday, arrived in at the Fiumicino airport last night, where they were warmly welcomed by the Vatican's Chief of Protocol, Jose Betancourt, and Sri Lanka's Ambassador to Italy, Daya Palpola.
The President called on His Holiness at the Apostolic Chapel in Vatican. Issuing a statement, the Holy See Press Office called the discussions cordial and said the two men began the meeting by recalling the Holy Father's visit to Sri Lanka in January. Their subsequent discussions focused on the country's process of peace and reconciliation, which is underway to promote stable social harmony. Furthermore, the statement of the Holy See Press Office said that President Sirisena and Pope Francis emphasized the contribution of the Catholic Church in various sectors of society and the importance of interreligious dialogue. President Sirisena and Pope Francis also exchanged opinions on the theme of the environment and the evaluation of the results of the Conference on Climate Change, which recently concluded in Paris.
His Holiness Pope Francis presented a token of appreciation to President Maithripala Sirisena to symbolize peace and unity. Tomorrow, on his second day of his visit, the President will visit the Museum of the Vatican City and the St. Peter's Basilica Church. Following the meeting with His Holiness Pope Francis, the President held a special discussion with the Cardinal Secretary of State, Pietro Parolin. Matters concerning with the development in Sri Lanka and the process underway in achieving peace and reconciliation were discussed during this meeting.
Meanwhile, the President's media division says that President Maithripala Sirisena has drawn special attention to certain issues which have arisen from the budget proposals among the public and the trade unions. The communique issued by the President's media division said that the President, who stressed the importance of discussion before coming to a final conclusion, said that a discussion will be held after his return to the country following the completion of the state visit to the Vatican.
The Prime Minister made a special statement in Parliament today with regard to the issues raised by trade unions over the proposals of the 2016 budget.
We think of the country first, second and third. The future of the country, the UMP and the SLFP established a national government together in order to take meaningful steps for the future of the country, to solve the fundamental problems facing the country. The President is making all sacrifices to rebuild the country. Power is being used to rebuild the country, not to fulfill personal agendas. If I am unable to use power to rebuild the country, then I am prepared to abandon power and leave. I do not intend to sacrifice the country to protect my power.
Responding to the demands made by the trade unions, the Prime Minister reiterated today that the Employees Provident Fund and Employees Trust Fund would be maintained as separate entities under the central bank. He added that a new management system would be introduced to prevent theft of these funds. Noting that the pensions of public sector employees will not be annulled in any way, the Prime Minister said a change would only be made to the pension system.
I do not need to remind you that the funds allocated for the payment of pensions increases every year. The pensions bill, which was 83 million rupees in 1961, has increased to 99,961 million by 2011. By 2050, it will increase to 4 trillion or 4,000 billion. In truth, we do not have the strength to face such a serious situation. What will happen if we do not have the strength? We will be unable to pay pensions to public sector employees who will retire in the future. The Rajapaksa regime did not research this from a scientific standpoint. They recruited public sector employees for the need of safeguarding their political popularity. But the real situation is that financial provisions were not made to pay the pensions of any of the public sector employees who were recruited since 2005. That is why we propose a pension system with funding through the budget. We are exerting ourselves to introduce a funded scheme instead of a scheme with no funding. We want a funded system as opposed to an unfunded system. This is the amendment that we made. Through this system, a fund will commence from day one when a person is recruited to a public sector job. We are hoping to hold extensive discussions to the new system with the trade unions in January. The system will be implemented once Parliament's approval is obtained.
A sum of 2,000 rupees will be added to the basic salaries of public sector employees at the beginning of next year, as the first phase of the scheme to add allowances to employees' basic wages. However, the Prime Minister guaranteed that at the point of retirement, all allowances would be added to employees' basic salaries. Wickremesinghe added that the National Salaries Commission would be re-established and a comprehensive report would be obtained within 6 months. The Prime Minister also guaranteed that all employees retiring from January 2016 would receive the Agrahara medical insurance benefits.
We have decided to take several interim measures until final decisions can be made following discussions with the relevant factions. As such, the revenue license charge will be reduced to 15%. The emissions test charge will be reduced to an interim charge of 1,500 rupees. The estimate cost of a vehicle in the event of leasing will be reduced to 5,000 rupees. The estimate cost for three-wheelers and motorcycles will be reduced to rupees 3,000.
The Prime Minister also requested the trade unions to hold discussions with the chairman of banks and submit a common proposal with regard to removing pawning and leasing limits imposed on banks. He added that the matter of the 2% tax on withdrawals exceeding 1 million rupees from bank accounts would be studied and that a decision would be made after obtaining a report from the central bank. Furthermore, the Prime Minister noted that no changes would be made to the 8-hour workday and that 2,500 rupee wage hike for private sector employees would be granted from May 2016.
The people gave us power to serve the country. We are committed to this service and we will fulfill the hopes the people have placed in us. We are not thinking about short-term political advantages. We want to safeguard the country. If we fail to understand the true state of the nation, not only we will all fall into decline, we will all be destroyed. Thereby, instead of narrow-minded thinking, let us over the next few years make the necessary policy decisions. I request the employees of the public and private sector to always be thoughtful in their actions. I call on them to make decisions for the country and for the people without turning back the revolution of the 8th of January.
You can watch the Prime Minister's full statement at 10:30 p.m. tomorrow on Sirsa TV.
Following the Prime Minister's special statement in Parliament earlier today, several trade unions decided to call off the strike action planned for tomorrow.
Trade unions from several sectors including health, railways, transportation and banking had planned a one-day strike action which was to commence at midnight in opposition to certain proposals in the 2016 budget. Considering the concessions granted by the government, we have reached a final decision to temporarily call off the strike action which was planned to commence at 7 a.m. on the 15th. For the transport industry faction, we have won a major victory through this union struggle. Therefore, I must state clearly that the bus strike, which was to commence at midnight, has been called off. Buses will operate as usual across Sri Lanka. Prime Minister has reduced the service charges and taxes that were increased for bus operators through the 2016 budget to a satisfactory level. Therefore, the all-island strike that was to commence at midnight today has been called off temporarily. When the key trade unions, the responsible trade unions, are stepping away from this fight, it is difficult for us to get our members only to participate. Meanwhile, the Lanka Bank Employees Union says their union struggle will continue. All other groups who were together with us in this struggle have issued statements that they are refraining from taking part in the strike. As we have not been provided with clear answers to our demands, bank employees are of the stance that tomorrow's strike action must go ahead. However, the Colombo District Court issued an enjoining order today preventing the Lanka Bank Employees Union from engaging in strike actions. The order was issued after considering a petition filed at the Colombo District Court by 3 banks. The enjoining order will remain in effect until the 28th of December. The Government Medical Officers Association had this to say regarding the strike that was planned for tomorrow. As the Government Medical Officers Association, we have decided that even if the unions launch a campaign, we will not allow any harm to come to the patients, but neither will we work to obstruct the strike action launched by other trade unions. Trade unions affiliated to the JVP have reiterated the need for a collective union struggle. The president of the National Trade Union Centre, K.D. Lanka, participated in a media briefing convened by several organizations, including the Inter-University Students' Federation. There is a need for a collective struggle. The government has dealt a blow and we must counter-attack. At the minimum, the Prime Minister must state in Parliament that those recruited from January 2016 onwards will also fall under the current pension system. Then we can reconsider the actions that we have taken. The people of this country are facing a struggle with regard to winning their rights after the 19th. We believe that the need to fight this will become grave on this day. We will come forward as required. Even so, UNP-affiliated trade unions say the operations against the budget are not justified. The nurses and doctors are not participating in this. There is no one. However, certain greedy persons could join this. Defeating this will provide an opportunity in the future for the working people to win their rights. The Public Service Trade Union Federation also commented on the matter. We have no faith in them whatsoever. Even if they say that they held talks and decided to pull back the strike action, we will not be troubled. We cannot join these lackluster battles. The Prime Minister made a statement regarding the opposition of the workers' unions and their strike action. It was evident through the statement that they are fearful. Therefore, he has said that 2,000 rupees from the 10,000 rupee basic salary hike will be given. We can see that he is bargaining like one does when buying fish from the fish market. We have problems with separate proposals in this budget.
Indictments were filed against former Minister Basil Rajapaksa and former Director General of the Divi Nigama Department R.K.A. Ranawaka at the Colombo High Court today.
Attorney General filed the indictments on charges of dishonest misappropriation of public funds, an offence under the Public Property Act. Former Minister Basil Rajapaksa and R.K.A. Ranawaka were remanded under the same charges on a previous occasion and were later released on bail. Meanwhile, former chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva, the former Deputy Director General of the Commission, Dhammika Manjira Pereira and Ronnie Ibrahim were further remanded. Colombo Magistrate Priyantha Liyanage issued the order to further remand the said individuals after their bail applications were rejected when the case was taken up today. Dr. Nalaka Godaheva commenced his career in the corporate field after graduating from the University of Moratuwa and was appointed as chairman of the Sri Lanka Tourism Board in 2010. He was appointed chairman of the Securities and Exchange Commission in mid-2012 after two of his predecessors, Indrani Sugatadasa and Tilak Karunaratne, had to resign within 12 months. During the tenure of Dr. Godaheva, the market bounced back to show record ratings at the Colombo Stock Exchange. In the action plan forwarded by Dr. Godaheva last January, it was aimed to reach a market capitalization of 100 billion rupees by 2020. However, he is currently remanded over an incident where 5 million rupees had allegedly been used to bring down a hip-hop group for the Carlton rugby tournament. Dhammika Manjira Pereira, who is also in remand custody for the same offence, holds a master's degree in business administration. He had been able to complete a number of investigations at the Colombo Stock Exchange and at the Securities and Exchange Commission during his tenure as the Financial Intelligence Director of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka. He was appointed as the Deputy Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission in the year 2014.
The JVP's Bimal Ratnayaka made the following statement in Parliament today.
Over the past few days, some newspapers had reported that the former president had said at a meeting that Elam flags had been hoisted in Jaffna, posters have been pasted and that they are ready to go for a war. This statement went viral on Facebook that these posters were of Prabhakaran which had been pasted all around Jaffna. People know that this could create chaos in the country. Neither do the people in the north or the south want another war. They cannot take up arms again. Without understanding the consequences, they make raw racist statements. During the presidential election, some politicians got together and created a Facebook page called Brighter Future for Sri Lanka for campaigning activities of the former president. This was the page which was used to share this photo of a youth pasting the poster of Prabhakaran. Most Sinhalese people cannot read Tamil, so they think that this post is legitimate. But what has actually happened is that this poster is being pasted by a small political party in Tamil Nadu called Thandai Periya Dravida Kalaham. None of the major political parties in Tamil Nadu would put up posters like this, no matter how much Jayalalitha Jairam screams. Those who speak highly of the LTT in Tamil Nadu do not have more than 3 to 4 ministerial positions. This is a small political party in Tamil Nadu called PJK. This poster contains telephone numbers from Tamil Nadu. So this is the picture which is being shared saying that the LTT flag is being hoisted. We looked into this matter where posters have been put up, and it turns out that for the past 6 years, at least 3 to 4 posters were put up in the vicinity of the Jaffna University. This was done in 2010, 2011 and 2012. I have the pictures of these posters pasted in 2012. This was done even when all the heroes including the Rajpaksas were there, but there were just 3 to 4 posters, maximum 15. What has happened now is no different, which is why we ask Sinhala, Tamil and Muslim communities to stick together without getting riled up by these false statements which are intended to create racism in the country. Let's accept that the people in the north do not want another war, so do not make such racist statements.
Speaking during the debate on the expenditure heads of several ministries, including the Ministry of Agriculture in Parliament today, Minister Gamini Jayavikrama Pereira expressed the following views.
Poison is added when harvesting the manioc. It has to be cooked as well. At that time, the plastic water bottle is placed in the heated pan and it starts to melt. Then the manioc is added to it.
You have 2 minutes. 2 minutes? Yeah. Better I'll sit. I don't want to speak. I'm not going to speak. No, okay, I have finished. No. You have given time, our time to others. I know. Right. The secretary should know. No, I don't know. I'm not going to speak. I have spoke, finish. I'm not going.
Moving on to news from Central Asia, Turkmenistan commenced work on the TAPI, or Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan and Indian gas pipeline project yesterday in Murree, Turkmenistan. Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen reports.
The Galkanaish gas field in Turkmenistan was transformed into a hive of activity yesterday. This was due to the groundbreaking event which was held under the auspices of the President of Turkmenistan, Vice President of India, Prime Minister of Pakistan and Afghan President to mark the TAPI gas pipeline project. The Capital Maharaj Organization Limited was represented at the groundbreaking event of what is seen as perhaps the most historic international oil and gas pipeline. The Capital Maharaj Organization has a long and rich history in the power and energy sector and was the only Sri Lankan company represented at the groundbreaking ceremony. The $7.6 billion natural gas pipeline will begin at its source in the Galkanaish gas field in Turkmenistan and run across Afghanistan and Pakistan to India.
Why is it historic? First, because we are overcoming the history of doubt and skepticism. For decades, there has been talk of this project. Today, we are showing that we are determined to make our vision a reality. Second, it's historic because it shows that Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and India will be renewing ties that bound us together for several millennia, but due to the advent of the Soviet Union were ruptured.
This is indeed a momentous occasion. TAPI is much more than a gas pipeline project for our countries. It is a reflection of the common desire of the 4 member countries to reconnect themselves we are seeking to reclaim our shared geography and revitalize an old-age legacy of our mutually enriching interactions.
This is indeed a momentous day. A vital achievement has been made possible through perseverance, patience, and collective endeavors of all stakeholders.
All four leaders commenced the welding work of the project subsequently.
Welding ceremony of the Tapi gas line project, which is Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Pakistan and India gas line project, commenced in Mari, Turkmenistan under the auspices of its president. As you can see, this is the pipeline which the gas would be transported to India by the end of December 2019. The estimated cost of this project stands at a staggering $10 billion. I'm Shamir Rasool reporting for News First from Mari, Turkmenistan.
Back here in Colombo, the U.S. Under-Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Thomas Shannon, arrived in the island this evening on a two-day official visit. He is being accompanied by the Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Bureau of South and Central Asian Affairs, Manpreet Singh. During their visit, the U.S. delegation will hold discussions with high-ranking state officials, the business community and representatives of civil society.
The launch of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Law Asia and the 29th Law Asia Conference, to be hosted in Sri Lanka in August 2016, was held in Colombo yesterday.
In line with the Jubilee celebrations, the unveiling of the conference logo also took place at the event.
The new government has to be made constantly accountable and aware that it has to deliver on its promises. We have to be eternally vigilant, lest we lose another golden moment. In this context, it is opportune that we host the Law Asia Conference in Sri Lanka so that we can learn from one another how we can further the rule of law and democracy, as our greater role as lawyers is to further the cause of justice.
We, not only the bar, the entire country is living with expectation. Some of it are realized, some of it are being realized, some of it are to be realized. We have embarked upon a journey of good governance and we have just opened the door. We have just begun this journey which is long and the destinies will be known soon.
Sri Lanka, which is rebuilding itself and which has confronted all these issues so vigorously and rigorously, it will be my appeal to all of you that the legal profession and BSL cannot afford to lower its guard as yet, and as President has said, continue to play an activist and a proactive role, and the continued role of the legal profession to create public opinion, to educate people is very, very crucial.
A drinking water scheme at the Nelumpokuna village in Lunugambehera New Town was declared open today.
The scheme was declared open by the Minister of Housing and Construction, Sajid Premadasa. The low-quality black market fertilizer mafia is trying to mislead the country. 500 rupees is given to the paddy farmer. Other farmers are given a sum of 1,200 rupees. Do not provide a cent more than 1,200 rupees. If there is an issue like this, either call me or send me an SMS. I will definitely bring the black market dealer before the law. Not only that, I will cancel the trade representative position of these black market dealers. There is no issue with the fertilizer subsidy. We will not at any instance let the fertilizer subsidy be taken away. We do not hope to do so, nor will we let it happen.
The campaign titled Empower the Woman, launched by Newsfirst to promote awareness on gender equality, safeguarding and empowering women, got underway in Ratnapura and Puttalam today.
The campaign, which is organized by Newsfirst, Cirrus and Shakti, aimed at empowering women with equality and security, is carried out together with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Police, Ministry of Local Government and Provincial Councils, District and Divisional Secretariats. One leg of the campaign got underway in the centre of the Ratnapura town, where women in the area were given the opportunity to raise the issues they face and put forward their proposals. Another leg of the program commenced at the Iva School of Nursing in Ratnapura. We can voice our concerns, as the Cirrus Media Network tells us. They are trying to create an opportunity for the country to develop through this program to empower women. We thank them for this deed. Why can't a woman who can do volunteer work not engage in politics? Why can't we raise a voice of our own to send a woman into politics? Our team visited the Palavia and Thilayadi villages in Putlam and went on door-to-door campaign with the intention of creating equality among the masses for a better tomorrow. We can see domestic violence to a great extent. I think that the levels of domestic violence will reduce as a result of this program by the Cirrus Network.
And that's a wrap for Primetime News. I'm Jitendra Gunasena.
And I'm Nadim Majid. Good night and good luck.